Michael Wheat says, hope everyone had a great Turkey Day. I also hope not drifting too deep into the weeds here. So here it is. If I'm creating 50 plus subdomain local niche sites, each focused in different geographic locations for rank and rent, and all of which originate from one parent domain, do I treat each subdomain as a complete separate website apart from the parent domain with its own money site, curated content, and IFTTT network, or can I use the same money site curated content source and IFTTT network used for the parent domain and treat the subdomains more like pages? I'm doing local niche plus city plus neighborhoods. Okay. There are 55 neighborhoods in the city, and each neighborhood is a subdomain. Wow, that's getting very granular. If I'm confused, yeah, Michael, I don't know that I would do that. That's way too complicated, honestly, because the problem with that kind of a setup is you're going to have so many WordPress installations to maintain to target that city, and it's really unnecessary. If you were going to target multiple cities within the same state, for example, then that's a great way to use subdomains, in my opinion. But to target neighborhoods, and each neighborhood is a subdomain, yeah, that's getting a bit too. That's too much. I wouldn't recommend that. Instead, I would just silo the site out. I would build the site around the city, so it would be basically on one domain or one subdomain, and then I would build out silos for each neighborhood. Okay, and that's how I would do it, because again, otherwise you're going to be maintaining 55 sites to just cover one city, and that's really not sustainable. That's not something that you'll be able to scale, in other words. Okay, so I don't recommend that you do that. However, I mean, if you choose to do it anyways, then I would recommend, especially because you're on such a hyper local level at that point, you could just use the same IFTTT network for all of them. But consider this as well. If you were to do that with the 55 subdomains, again, just targeting one city, that would be essentially you'd have to set up the recipes for your IFTTT network for 55 subdomain RSS feeds, right? So if there's 15 recipes that we set up in IFTTT, now you got to multiply that times 55 for that one IFTTT count. And I don't know off the top of my head, that's got to be somewhere around 800 recipes. Right? That's overkill. Like, it's just, to me, it's not. I wouldn't do it. Let's put it that way. Again, I would target one city with the subdomain. I would build it on the subdomain, not the root, and then I would use silo structure to build out the rest. Right? Then there is Plan B. Scrap all of the above, and just rank and rent one website for an entire city. Not as much profit potential, but boatloads less time consuming and hassles. Actually, you can have just as much profit potential because you can customize each page. For example, if you wanted to sell, let's say it's a big city, and apparently it is. If it's got 55, boroughs or whatever, you could customize each page and sell each page, different pages to different, or rent different pages to different service providers, for example. So it doesn't have to be all under one. I mean, you could essentially make each page like a landing page, which you could put separate graphics on, separate branding, separate contact information if you wanted. I mean, that's one thing that you could do. Okay? And it would be a hell of a lot easier to manage. That's for sure.
Yeah, Michael, I'd be curious too if you come back to us once you do this, how you end up monetizing it and how it works out for you, just to let people know.